The words hit me like a thunderbolt on an ordinary afternoon, stopping time itself. One careless joke. One unexpected reply. And suddenly, the girl I had known for years was looking at me with eyes that held a truth I wasn't ready to face. I laughed. She didn't. That was the moment everything changed. Before we begin, take a second to like this video, comment, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories. And if you believe kindness can change lives, comment "ripple of kindness" below. The summer sun hung brightly over the city, painting the streets in gold as people hurried through their daily routines. It was one of those beautiful afternoons when life seemed simple. I was sitting outside a small cafe across from a public library, waiting for my closest friend, Maren. I had known Maren for nearly 8 years. She wasn't the kind of woman people noticed immediately. She didn't enter rooms demanding attention. She wasn't loud or dramatic. She carried herself quietly, always putting others before herself. Yet anyone who spent even 10 minutes with her discovered something rare, a heart so kind it made the world feel softer. Maren volunteered at shelters, remembered birthdays nobody else remembered, and somehow always knew when someone needed encouragement. Yet despite all those qualities, she remained single. Every year family members asked uncomfortable questions. Every wedding invitation became another reminder. Every holiday gathering came with subtle judgment. She laughed through it all. At least, that's what everyone thought. That afternoon she arrived carrying a stack of books against her chest. The sunlight caught strands of her dark hair as she crossed the street. I grinned and pointed at the books. There must have been 20 of them. She smiled sheepishly. And that's when I made the joke. I told her that at this rate she'd spend her entire life reading romance novels and never actually get married. I expected laughter. Instead she stopped walking. The smile faded. Then she looked directly into my eyes and quietly asked what if it was me. For a moment the sounds of the city disappeared. Cars vanished. Conversations vanished. Everything vanished except those 6 words. What if it's you? I stared at her. My heart stumbled. She quickly looked away, forcing a nervous laugh before continuing toward the cafe. But the damage had already been done. Because suddenly I couldn't stop thinking about it. For years, Maren had simply been part of my life. My closest friend. My constant. The person who answered every late-night call. The person who celebrated every success and stood beside me during every failure. The person I never imagined losing. And perhaps because she was always there, I never truly saw her. Not the way she deserved. The weeks that followed felt strange. Nothing changed. Yet everything changed. I began noticing things that had always been there. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear when nervous. The way she smiled at strangers. The way children seemed instantly comfortable around her. The way she listened, not just hearing words, but understanding emotions. I started seeing the depth of her loneliness too. One evening we attended a mutual friend's engagement party. The room buzzed with excitement. Couples danced. Families celebrated. Everyone seemed to belong somewhere. Maren smiled through the evening, congratulating the happy couple repeatedly. But while everyone else was distracted, I caught a glimpse of something hidden behind her expression. Sadness. Not jealousy. Not bitterness. Just sadness. The kind that comes from waiting a long time for something that never arrives. On the drive home she stared quietly out the window. Streetlights flashed across her face. For the first time I wondered how many nights she had gone home feeling forgotten. How many times she had questioned her worth. How many times she had convinced herself she was enough while secretly wondering why nobody chose her. The thought hurt more than I expected. Months passed. Autumn arrived. Leaves painted the sidewalks in shades of amber and crimson. Life continued moving forward. Yet my feelings grew impossible to ignore. I looked forward to every conversation. Every text message. Every shared coffee. Every moment. But fear kept me silent. Because admitting my feelings meant risking everything. If I confessed and she no longer felt the same way, I could lose my closest friend. And if she still cared, then I had wasted years seeing her only halfway. So I remained trapped between hope and hesitation. Then life intervened. One rainy evening Maren called me. Her voice trembled. Her mother had been hospitalized unexpectedly. I rushed to the hospital immediately. The sterile hallways smelled of disinfectant and worry. When I found her sitting alone outside the intensive care unit, she looked exhausted. For the first time in years, she seemed completely overwhelmed. Without thinking, I sat beside her. She leaned her head against my shoulder. Neither of us spoke. Hours passed. Doctors moved through corridors. Machines beeped behind closed doors. And together we waited. That night changed something. Not because of dramatic confessions. Not because of grand gestures. But because vulnerability stripped away every mask. I saw her fear. She saw my willingness to stay. And somewhere in those silent hours, our hearts grew closer than ever before. Thankfully her mother recovered. Life slowly returned to normal. Yet the experience left a permanent mark. From then on we spent even more time together. Friends began teasing us. Family members made assumptions. Strangers often mistook us for a couple. We always laughed it off. But secretly, neither of us corrected them anymore. Then came the winter storm. The city was blanketed in snow. Roads became dangerous. Most people stayed indoors. That evening a power outage swept through several neighborhoods. Including hers. Knowing she hated being alone during storms, I drove through icy roads carrying flashlights, blankets, and hot food. When she opened the door, candlelight illuminated her face. For a second she looked genuinely surprised. Then emotional. As we sat together beside flickering candles, talking about life, childhood dreams, and regrets, something shifted again. The conversation grew deeper. More honest. She admitted that she had spent years believing love simply wasn't meant for her. That maybe some people were destined to care for everyone else while remaining unseen themselves. Listening to her felt like hearing a heartbreak she had carried silently for years. And suddenly I realized something. The woman sitting across from me wasn't waiting to be rescued. She wasn't waiting for someone perfect. She simply wanted someone who truly saw her. Someone who chose her. Someone who stayed. The realization hit me harder than anything before. Because that someone should have been me long ago. Days later I found myself standing outside her apartment holding a small bouquet of flowers. Nothing extravagant. Just simple flowers she once mentioned loving. My hands shook. My heart raced. Years of friendship rested on what happened next. When she opened the door, confusion crossed her face. Then curiosity. Then concern. I took a deep breath. And finally told her the truth. I told her about that afternoon outside the cafe. About how her 6 words had followed me ever since. About how I slowly realized she had become the most important person in my life. About how every future I imagined somehow included her. And then I told her I loved her. The silence felt endless. Snow drifted quietly beyond the apartment windows. My pulse thundered in my ears. Then tears filled her eyes. Not dramatic tears. Not movie tears. Just honest tears. The kind that appear when someone finally hears the words they've been waiting years to hear. She smiled through them. And nodded. In that moment every fear disappeared. Every doubt vanished. Every missed opportunity became part of the journey that led us there. The following year brought challenges. Relationships always do. There were disagreements. Misunderstandings. Moments when life tested us. But unlike before, we faced everything together. As partners. As best friends. As two people who understood each other's scars. And perhaps that made all the difference. Because real love isn't built during perfect moments. It's built during difficult ones. It's built in hospital corridors. In power outages. In ordinary afternoons. In countless acts of showing up when nobody is watching. 2 years later, on a bright spring morning, I stood beneath a flowering tree in the same park where we often walked together. My hands shook once again. Only this time I held a ring. When Maren arrived, she immediately noticed my nervous expression. I smiled. Then reminded her of the joke that had started everything. The joke about never getting married. She laughed. The same beautiful laugh I'd fallen in love with. And before she could respond, I knelt down. Tears appeared instantly. The answer came before I even finished asking. Yes. 1,000 times yes. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like the video, leave a comment, and share it with someone special. Stories like this remind us that love sometimes grows quietly right beside us while we're busy looking elsewhere. Special request, comment, love sees what time reveals, if you believe the best relationships often begin with genuine friendship. Their wedding took place on a warm afternoon filled with sunlight and laughter. Friends gathered. Families celebrated. And as Maren walked down the aisle, I remembered that cafe. That joke. Those 6 unforgettable words. What if it's you? The answer had been there all along. Not hidden. Not complicated. Simply waiting to be recognized. Sometimes the person meant to change your life isn't a stranger. Sometimes they aren't waiting around the corner. Sometimes they've been standing beside you for years, quietly loving you, supporting you, believing in you. And all it takes is one moment of honesty to finally see them. As we exchanged vows, I looked into her eyes and realized something beautiful. Love isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about recognizing the person who never stopped choosing you. The person who stayed when life became difficult. The person who saw your flaws and loved you anyway. Years later, whenever people ask how our story began, we still laugh about that afternoon. The joke. The reply. The moment everything changed. But deep down, we both know the truth. It wasn't really about 6 words. It was about years of kindness. Years of friendship. Years of showing up. Because every act of kindness creates ripples we may never see. And sometimes those ripples return as the greatest blessing of all. A friendship becomes love. A lonely heart finds home. And 2 lives become one story. The kind of story neither of us expected. But the kind we are grateful for every single day. And perhaps somewhere out there, someone watching this video needs to hear this. Don't overlook the people who consistently care for you. Don't assume they will always be there. And don't wait forever to tell someone what they mean to you. Life changes quickly. Hearts are fragile. But love, real love, often grows quietly in the places we least expect. And when it finally reveals itself, it has the power to change everything. The end.